Nataraj. So I have a lot, I've been contemplating this idea of as the inner, so the outer, and then the other side of that, the outer, so the inner. I have a lot of outer chaos right now in my physical environment. And I thought, oh, I'll keep it separate. The outer is the outer. It doesn't touch the inner. Very difficult. So, so I'm just trying to contemplate and work with this idea of, can I bring the inner to outer physical construction chaos, and finding the balance instead of rejecting it or trying to keep it out. I'm not sure the question, but just working with this idea of inner is outer, outer is inner, and how to find the balance. Thank you.
Very good. It's what it's all about, isn't it? I mean, this is um, it's our predicament, outer and inner. Inner predicament, outer predicament. Predicament of outer versus inner. Well, the short answer, of course, is that the very moment you're in total acceptance of everything, then the world becomes magic. You don't really even have to pretend to enjoy the chaos or the tumult, but know that you're okay. And everybody's had the experience of really unanticipated, radical beauty uh, happening. But it's in those moments of total acceptance. And I think that I think it's a mistake to pretend we don't feel the way we feel. Uh, I think it's a mistake to pretend to be outwardly happy or even inwardly happy, trying to convince ourselves um, that it's not unpleasant. I think this creates a dissonance between you and yourself. And dissonance really is the friction that causes the unhappiness. To pretend to be happy when you're not is there's a bit of a self-betrayal in it, isn't there? So what's the mix then? So you're having your bathroom remodeled. Now this can play as a metaphor, uh, not to mention high-class problems. But this can serve as a metaphor, your house being remodeled. So there can be some gentle, compassionate acknowledgement to your own self that it's unpleasant, it's not your preference. But simultaneously, no, it's fine. Uh, and also, it will pass. And somehow, in this posture of total acceptance of what is, acknowledge that you wish it were different, and also know that it's fine. You're okay. And so, I don't know. Could we call it grin and bear it? I don't know. I think we could. I think we could. Bear it in the same way that Swami Shivananda says, bear insult, bear injury, the injury of your remodeling. Maybe at first we develop something that we might call tolerance. I'm not so fragile after all. Much, much sturdier, much more supple. than you imagined. Not so fragile after all. This, of course, is, for the most part, this is on the other side of the deep healing. You know, this is the dawn after the dark night, let's say. So it wouldn't really apply to somebody who's really still very much identified in the suffering. But something good to lean into. And then there's this play of inner and outer, a call and response. It's a call and response, a dialogue, you and the world. And in the world you can see yourself, and in yourself you see that you are projecting the world. You've heard it said, the world is the best guru. I think so. It'll show you everything that you think you are. And this is the thing that was so strong in the silence preceding satsang, which was personal desire is the very thing that keeps heaven at bay. We've talked about this. Me and mine is the very thing that occludes the perception of God. This orientation towards the egoic self. It just turns down the magic. The moment that you become okay just being as it is, then the world can come. Yes. Yeah. Because romantic desire is one of the strongest in us, for so many reasons. It's always a great metaphor for us in both the challenges and the sacred, illuminated space of beingness, I guess we could say. But this is something that I think is really important to lean into, which is that you are not as fragile as you think you are. I remember some years ago, I had through a sort of a profound and spontaneous shift, became very, very sensitive to energy and to the world, and it was not pleasant for me at this time. I found it exhausting to be out in the world and to be aware of so much that was happening around me in the hearts and minds of others. It was really challenging. And it wasn't really it wasn't really in the style of my personality, but I was desperate, and so I got into all kinds of rituals and incenses and crystals trying to protect myself from energies. And it has some positive effect. I found it to be helpful. However, one day in meditation on my couch in Bethesda, the question came, if I am the invulnerable, immutable self, then what is it that I'm protecting? And it was kind of, it felt daring, because it was a real felt sense. I would go out in the world and I would feel all of it was almost like I could smell the sadness, the desperation, the anger that was just in the air. And it was really very uncomfortable. So it felt so real to me. And so to think, what is it that I'm protecting? If it's true what the sages say, then the defense against it itself feeds the energy of the running and the